the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hi guys, welcome back to SPTV for another very special chapter that we're calling What in the Hell is Scientology So Afraid of? And to begin, we're going to continue our coverage about Debbie Cook and really contextualize and put into perspective what Debbie Cook was willing to say for herself in the public record. And we're going to really, start tearing apart all the inconsistencies and all the things that she has decided to omit for herself. So without further ado, we're going to review yet another one of these ABC News segments. This time it's Nightline, I believe, what we're going to be doing. And let's really listen to the pitching that is going to go on here from Nightline about what is it, according to them, is the problem. Like, what are they finding? Let's see what's going on over there.
February 29th, 2012.
Good evening, I'm Terry Moran. Well, the Church of Scientology is one of the world's newest religions and growing, opening dozens of new churches around the world and making high-profile converts in places like Hollywood. But tonight, a former...
So let's start with that little shout out to Hollywood, because if you guys start to notice a pattern that ABC has, it's like they never skip a chance to remind everybody that Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Christy Alley, blah, 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 all those celebrities are part of this, right? Now, why is the mainstream media so interested in pitching that, like, in this kind of like redundant, constant way? Well, I think, and let me know in the comments what you guys think, but I think what it is, you guys, is that the mainstream media wants to use the clickbait that they're getting from Scientology to push forward their segments more. And it's kind of like a tricky, way for them to kind of like really kind of show up here with you and be like, yeah, we got the story, you guys. Hold on to your seats, but, let's just remind everyone who's involved, never mind that they're going to do any kind of pushback. Never mind that they're going to ask them any tough questions. Never mind that they're going to call up anyone else in Hollywood for that matter. Like, shout out to you, CAA. How many Scientologists are big time clients of yours? Like, does CAA represent Elizabeth Moss and John Travolta and Tom Cruise and who else? Right. So shout out to UCAA, because, if you didn't know before, if you've been clueless about what's been going on in those hotels that your own clients are funding, now you don't have an excuse to play dumb, because you know what? We're laying it down in the most basic ways so that no one around can put their head up there, and say, I didn't know. I had no idea what was going on. Soon that little excuse is going to stop having no effect whatsoever, because if anyone's watching SPTV, there's plenty of very dumbed down information that's being made available with full context, and for the purpose of stopping everything that's going on with anyone 21 and under in those hotels. Once again, we do not care to comment. We do not care to intervene. We do not care to do anything for people that are adults making decisions for themselves. They can sort it out for themselves. If they want to do it, they can do it. If they don't want to do it, they can leave. We literally couldn't want to do anything there because we experienced this situation as kids. And as kids, we want to advocate for anyone 21 and under that we understand have no voice, that we understand they're not being advocated for, that we understand they're being abused by the people that are purporting to be helping them. So all of Hollywood, be advised that you have some sort of involvement with this because, you know, who's doing the rounds everywhere right now? Little Tom Cruise with his Mission Impossible, The Reckoning. The Reckoning is what should be happening at CAA. The Reckoning is what should be happening at Disney. The Reckoning is what should be happening at ABC News. The Reckoning is what should be happening with all of those who are enabling, laundering the image of, and protecting corporations over systemic, institutionalized, nationwide corruption, because we've had minors from all over the place. I mean, literally look at the video with Kansas City, Clearwater, Florida, Los Angeles, California, New York City. I mean, this is a problem that's everywhere. It's not just somewhere. Anywhere there's a building with these people inside, there's minors in that building. They rely on the workforce of minors. They cannot run their hotels or commercial buildings if they don't have access to minors. And we 1000% oppose these people acquiring minors under whatever pretext they're pitching. We do not care. Since we got to be the victims of their false, fraudulent pitch, that's all we need to do right now to know with full conviction that there should not be a single minor in any of those hotels or commercial buildings. Let's continue with ABC Nightlight.
Former Scientology insider will allege that there is much we don't know about this famously powerful, wealthy, and secretive institution. Allegations of misuse of power and physical harassment.
I mean, shout out to the media, you guys, for coming up with all the right things to say. But let's see how much meat is in their bones, right? Like, it seems like they're pointing this whole picture. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to make sense, but let's really question what kind of things they're talking about and how much sense they're going to make.
ABC's Dan Harris brings us an exclusive interview with a woman who was once a high-ranking church official. In his report, Scientology, an insider speaks.
Scientology, a church known for celebrity,
What is Scientology?
secrecy, and controversy.
Okay, you guys. I had no idea that these people were literally going to put at the very front of this segment the same Hollywood people we shouted out and we called them out for. So I'm glad that it's like just there so we can all really remember that, yeah, Tom Cruise, Christy Alley, and John Travolta are Scientologists. Like, does anyone not know that? If any of you guys don't know that, put it in the comments. Say, media, thank you for advising us. We're so glad that we're now in the know. Because, you know, we wouldn't have known from you having pitched that 100 times already.
No, I'm not stopping here. You listen to me for a second.
And now the latest PR hit involves a former high-ranking insider named Debbie Cook, who's being...
The latest PR hit. Well, you know what? Let's underline and bold that. Because you know what? I would call what little Miss Debbie Cook did here exactly that, a PR hit with very calculated end goals to end up right where she ended up. So let's continue.
being sued by the church and is fighting back by making headline-generating allegations in open court.
And you know what? Thank you, mainstream media. The headline generating allegations that this woman made about her adult experience. Notice how she didn't say that these things happened to her as a child. She only went to you to speak about her adult problems, what she was doing as a fully developed, grown, over 45 woman. So if the media could write us a letter and say why Debbie Cook's allegations have been so headline generating, while every last credible allegation of minors who have even gone to the police, who have even gone to attorneys, who have even gone on the record, on podcasts, on the aftermath, literally there's been ton of them. And you know how much headlines any of these children have generated. I mean, you know what, media? Why don't you pitch us? Maybe we're so clueless. Maybe we don't GTS enough. And you know what? It'd be great for you to just send your little list. Send it to Serge Delmar at proton.me. Yeah, I have encrypted email. So don't worry. Scientology isn't getting here. We have higher cybersecurity. We have cameras all over our house. We have lawyers on speed dials. We have the FBI on speed dial. We have the LAPD on speed dial. So we're protected and we are not here playing games with nobody. So you better not be playing games with us. Send us that list and tell us how many minors you have helped. We would love to know that.
About what she says happened to her behind the scenes in the Church of Scientology.
I was put in a trash can, cold water poured over me, slapped. I know it.
All right, you guys. Well, time to make another point because we can't seem to let even one point go. So here we go. What happened to her? What happened to Debbie Cook when she was an adult? She was put on a trash can and had cold water poured all over her. And she was an adult at the hole. And she was involved in this like sadistic, whatever the hell she was calling it. And it's fine. It's unacceptable to do that to an adult that doesn't want to do it. Completely unacceptable. But why doesn't Debbie Cook remember what happened to other kids that was way worse than being put on a trash can, I can guarantee you. And it was way worse than having cold water poured over them. That I can 1000% guarantee you. And, you know, if Debbie wants to know a little list so she can refresh her memory of what happened to, remember Haley Kildani, Debbie Cook? Remember her? Remember how she came from Canada and then she went to the Fort Harrison and then she was there in the jacuzzi and then an older man abused her and then she was sent to my course room and then the man was interrogated and admitted that he had done that at that place. And then you guys watched the video that you had by the jacuzzi to check what happened. And then you came to me to grab Haley out of course to send her to ethics so that she could get interrogated and admit what she had done at that jacuzzi. So there's a little one thing that you should like maybe think about too, since you're you know, getting all dressed up and dolled up to go really like tell the story. Like, yeah, let's really like do something here, guys, because while you're out there discussing your adult abuse that you're very insulted by, that happened at the very end of your amazing tenure when you were having such a great time, when Dave was not interfering with how you were running your hotel, you were having a blast. The fun ended when he came around and he started ordering you around. Then you didn't like it. When you had more power of someone over you, that's when you're like, oh, no, 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 no. What's going on here? Because as much as you want to make this hole that you went into at such a later time of your life, when you were a full-grown adult, like my age probably, I'm a full-grown adult right now, Debbie. Because again, your experience of the whole versus, you know, how many minors would you say were in the RPF or out 2D, Debbie? And how would you even compare your RPF that you ran out of the hacienda, that you personally supervised, that you personally overseed, that was in your org board? See, that's the good thing about David's hole, that he doesn't have it in an org board. That just happened to y'all in that gold base, and that was an invention of his. But you know what was not an invention? The RPF at the Hacienda Gardens. That was not an invention at all. That was written in the FOs. And before anybody asks what the FOs are, those are the secret policies that Cook could have cited to you, recited to you almost verbatim, you know, because she pretended that that's all she needed to cleanse her head and commit abominations at scale and call them all manner of names except what they were. So let's make sure that that's clear and that that's on the record now, so that you can really be put to task on all the lies you've been spouting.
It's wrong. It needs to get exposed, it needs to get confronted, and it needs to get handled. It can't go on.
It's become, in some sense, the fight of your life.
Yes.
Okay, you guys, there's going to be a lot of stopping here because we cannot not react. Here you see in full display, full-blown display, this woman projecting on a level that I didn't even know it was possible to project. She's talking about confronting it. It needs to be confronted. It needs to be called out. It needs to be handled. It needs... Yeah, Debbie Cook, it all needs to be that. But what needs to be confronted? Because we know what you don't want to confront. We have a whole list of things that you, Debbie Cook, does not want to confront. But don't worry, we'll make that available so that you can start refreshing your mind and figuring out, maybe I should have confronted that. Maybe I should have confronted that other thing as well. You know, there's all kinds of things that you could confront, but yet you're just choosing to confront things that are just absurd when you really think about it. I mean, really? That's what you care about? Fundraising. Let's see what else he talks about.
The fight of her life, because she's going toe-to-toe with a church she says she still loves.
And again, Don Harris, with your fight the fight and toe-to-toe, and can you just be less corny about it and actually know your facts in order so that you don't like just have to play the part that you care? The fight of your life, blah, 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 blah. Like, you don't study your subject, so you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And you just want to grab like, oh, well, it looks like you're fighting, so let's just write fight on here. Okay, good. Okay, legal's going to approve it. Great, let's go. Seriously.
One that was, she claims, her salvation. Cook was 14 when she found Scientology, a religion established in the 1950s by the science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard. Debbie Cook...
No, Dan Harris, and thank you so much for making our point for the 10th billionth time. So there you are, Reporter Dan Harris, who sits with Debbie Cook, who has been, in fact, also child trafficked and groomed to be an abuser. So, yeah, that's not shocking. Yeah, that's actually how child trafficking rings usually operate. Come to find out, it's a very great way to recruit young ones that you can influence very easily, a la L. Ron Hubbard. I mean, again, you guys don't give L. Ron Hubbard enough credit. Like, he wrote it all over his books. Young people aren't young people. Like, just they're adults in small bodies. Grab them as much as you can and put all these fears and all this fear mongering, and then, make them your slaves, and then get them to recruit more slaves, and then, call it this and call it that and make a lot of money, and let's like launder all this money and hide all this criminality and la 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 la. But yeah, that's exactly what America decided to pitch. It's a religion. Yeah. Look, America, look how much we prayed. It's hard not to be sarcastic over something so ridiculous and so absurd and so obvious. So, yeah, get ready to hear what we have to say.
So firmly believed in Scientology that at age 17, she went to work full-time for the church, joining their religious order called Sea Org.
There you go. Yet again, Dan Harris making a literal 17-year-old girl go work for the religious. You guys, literally, Debbie Cook is a product of child trafficking. Shelly Miscavige, another abuser, is the product of child trafficking. David Miscavige, another abuser, is the product of child trafficking. When are you people gonna start connecting the dots right there? How old were you, Debbie Cook? 17. How old were you, Shelly? What was it, 14? How old were you, David? Oh, what was it, 12 when Ron Miscavige sent you to do the courses? So ABC News sits there and spouts whatever they're being told, even though the literal child trafficking victims that later became the co-conspirators in this wide-ranging criminal conspiracy, if you don't want me to call it that, anyone out there in the law schools that we might have in the comments, like, tag your friend that's a lawyer and ask them, is this not the definition of a criminal conspiracy? Because we would love to know if that's the definition, or if we couldn't be more incorrect, that we couldn't be more out of our minds. And this is how it goes for all religions. They're all the same. We wouldn't know. We have no idea. We have no idea what another religion does, but it doesn't make any sense. So if anybody wants to clarify that in the comments for us, that would be awesome.
She rose all the way up to the rank of captain at the church's so-called flag base in Clearwater, Florida.
Welcome to the Mecca of Scientology.
But in around
The Mecca of Scientology, where how many minors worked at the Mecca of Scientology, Debbie Cook? Because perhaps you can start reminding yourself of that fact right there. How many minors were at your Mecca? That would be good to put on the record.
2005, Cook says she started to see high-level members of the church behave in ways she found deeply disturbing.
Okay, well, thank you, Debbie Cook, for putting on the record that in 2005, that's when you first started to see something weird. Interesting, because, when you would find felons in your hotel chain that were doing Class A felonies, perpetrating Class A felonies on the minors that you had working for you, that never rose any kind of red flag for you at all. Like, it just never was like, should I really be doing this? And what kind of certificates do I have to be making these decisions? Oh yeah, I got L. Ron Hubbard. He's got my back. L. Ron Hubbard, if he said that I could do it, then I could do it. Well, you know what? Call up your lawyer, Ray, Jeffrey, and see if he would agree that that's how it goes. Because I doubt that he would agree with you.
It began, she told us, when she was asked to start working more closely with the leader of the church, David Miscavige.
One quality that is always.
Thank you, Debbie, for making our point. Debbie Cook was a happy camper, happy-go-lucky in her hotel, supervising all manner of depravities going on in her HCCs with minors, so she didn't care. She got Natalie Galbiati there. She had Sherry Chapolina there. She had, Irides. She had all manner of minors. Just, you are an auditor. You are an auditor. You have a certificate. You have a certificate. Go service that public. Go service that public. Go make me that money. Go make me that money. Don't complain. Blah, blah, blah. But that's just, she was in her element there. You see, she was happy, unhinged. No one would bother her. But yeah, then David started working closer to her. Because remember, David was up here, you guys. On the pyramid scheme, David is here. Debbie Cook is boop, all the way down here. So David started going at these ones here. Pop, 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 pop. Putting him in the hole. You are a disaster. You are nothing. You are useless. Bye, bye, bye. Destroyed all of this. And then, but Debbie Cook for years, it took him years to destroy this. Don't think it happened overnight. It literally took, you see when Shelley disappeared. But Shelley was Shelley for decades, since 1993. She was COB assistant to 15, 16 years later, she got busted out of RTC. But she was all the way up here. Then she got busted. This got busted. This got busted. And then David came over here and grabbed Debbie Cook and took her to the hole. And that's when things for Debbie Cook couldn't have gone more awry. She was inconvenienced all of a sudden. She was used to having, her uniform pressed by a minor who would iron all her shirts. God forbid she had to do her own laundry. No, she was an executive. And these executives, you guys, they haven't really focused on, how they had all these minors running around to make sure they were fed the best food, because they were calling this, what was it? An executive preferential is what they called it. So when you were an executive, you were supposed to have a ton of slaves working under you, including but not limited to minors. So let's just make sure that is fully clear in this picture right now. Because as much as Debbie Cook wants to pretend that everything went awry when David got to her, well, it did go awry, because all of a sudden she couldn't be the little princess captain that she was role-playing for y'all. You just saw her, welcome to the Mecca, in a military uniform with bars, with stars, with gold, with here, I'm Debbie Cook. I'm a lieutenant commander. This is an insult to real people that do the military job, but let's not even go into that any further. But contextualizing her infatuation with herself is important to get the big picture.
What set us apart is that we are unselfish. Yes, we have an utter monopoly on workable solutions, but we share those solutions with anyone who reaches for them.
No comment, you guys. He literally said that himself. So you guys tell me what you think he just said. I would love to hear your opinion, to be honest.
Miscavige, who has led the church since L. Ron Hubbard's death in 1986, is famously close with the world's best-known Scientologist, Tom Cruise.
Well, shout out to the media for making our point yet again, you guys, because what do we know now? Tom Cruise is involved. Tom Cruise. Well, CAA, Hollywood, all the wokes out there that are, in your own way purporting to be doing the Lord of the work of the woke of whatever it is that you give yourself awards for. Here's an award you need to take away from yourselves right now, real quick. And that award is exactly what we just are exposing here. Because if y'all are so aware that your little golden boy is besties with the man on the screen, y'all better start going to the mirror and looking and having a little meditation. And in your little meditation, you should meditate on the word Weinstein, then meditate on the word Epstein, then meditate on the word Masterson. So WEM is going to be the meditation that everyone at CAA should start doing on themselves in front of a mirror to self-reflect if those names taught them a shred of a thing. Right? Because Me Too movement has not come to the children that have been stuck in that hotel, that keep being told that they deserved it, that keep being told that, you weren't a slave, you were a religious worker. And if they locked up your passport, but your parents said it was okay, then you know what? It sucks to be you. So you know what? Stop bothering us and let us just go watch The Reckoning, Mission Impossible. That's exactly where we are today in 2023, given that the segment was done nearly a decade ago or more.
The most dedicated Scientologist I know.
There you go. CAA, the most dedicated. So you got your top tier right there.
I have never met a more competent, a more intelligent, a more tolerant, a more compassionate being. We are lucky to have you, and thank you very much.
You guys, I'm not going to make a comment. You guys tell me what you just made out of that. Okay? Because the evidence, we got it on tape right here. Literally. Competent, tolerable. Yeah, Tom, I'm sure your bestie doesn't let you see what the hell goes behind the scenes. And we would know, the kids that grew up in the Sea Org, because we were told what was in PR and out PR, what to talk about, what not to talk about. What you can say in front of this room, but you can't say in this other room, because in this room, there's public and this is out PR. So only when you're locked up with Sea Org members can you talk about X, C, and Y. So for all of y'all who are confused, like, how could they be besties? Like, does he know everything? And now, you know what? He's on a need to know basis. Of course, he knows a ton, but do not downplay how much is being hidden from what they don't want them to know. Because trust me, the people in the Sea Org know more than anyone else in the entire world. More than the CAA, more than anybody, CIA, FBI, whatever. Like, the level of intelligence operations that are run by doing audits that are literally shredding all boundaries of privacy for that person do not exist anywhere else in the world. No one does it like L. Ron Hubbard's proteges. You guys, trust. Nobody can go that extreme. Nobody can go that hard. Nobody's been trained to take it like that. So here's the example. CC all CAA. There you go. You have been CC'd by this video.
But Debbie Cook has testified in court that she saw Miss Cabbage punch a fellow Scientology executive.
You punched him in the face?
Yes. I've never seen anything like this before.
Really, Debbie Cook? Yet again, we have to really wonder. I haven't seen anything like this before. So, a grown man beating another grown man, punching them. How can that honestly be your breaking point? What am I missing? Like, literally, what am I missing? Because if you're saying that to 2005, when you were taken to that hole and you saw this punching and all of that, like, then you started to get nervous. Like, I really wonder what happened, after you found out about the out-to-D that Emanuela Sanz had, after you found out the out-to-D that Angelica Velasco had, 13 years old, the out-to-D that Holly Sims had, outer trainee, 15 years old. The other out-to-D, Christina Ibarra from California, Sacramento, she was like, 15, 16. Then there was Alex Jensch, the 13-year-old at the QI. Then Alex Hellkamp and Leslie Warren that were sent to the RPF because, they had heavy petting out-to-D, even though they were both minors, but they still were sent to that hellhole RPF that you ran. Then there was another one, like my twin, Dania Vega. And then who else? Savannah Royce that we talked about. And, oh yeah, there was Diana Martinez from my hometown in Piedras Negras. Her father used to work for my grandparents, and she was recruited to come work for y'all. And yeah, she was like 15 or so, really beautiful Mexican girl that was found to be having how many out-to-Ds with how many men? Perhaps you can remind yourself, so I don't have to say it for you. And Lorianne, and oh my God, it's just literally unstoppable, this list that we have on you and all the minors that went out-to-D in your hotels. And how are you living with yourself tonight, knowing all these names because you requested their folder, you requested their ethics folder, you requested them to get him on videotape, get all the confessions from the perpetrator, get all the confessions from the kid. And if this kid is not saying that they did a BJ, then, and this one said that they did it, then this one can get told that this one did a BJ and press harder until they admit that they also did the BJ. And that's how that little evolution that you were supervising went. And that just literally nothing for you. Like, you saw that and you're like, I'm doing the work of the Lord. Well, you know what? Time for you to self-reflect, because turns out you were just following the advice of an unindicted runaway felon. And we really have to wonder how we've already seen this. For all of you that are knowing about the law and all of that, Charles Manson, doesn't that set a precedent for anybody? I mean, he was a felon too, right? Going in and out of jail, criminal, whatever, recruited a bunch of adults, sold them all kinds of BS ideas about this and that, and we're the ones that are doing this, and we're going to save, and we're going to do, and we're going to do, and go murder all those women that are in that house and pregnant. Who cares? Just do it and be crazy, and who cares? We're fine. We have the power. Well, an interview that you should review, Debbie Cook, from the New York Times. Shout out to them for doing that interview. And shout out to them for also giving L. Ron Hubbard an L. Ron Hubbard New York Times bestseller and never retracting anything and never taking a single shred of responsibility for who they were responsible to prop up as well. I mean, let's give credit when it's due. But they did a little interview with one of the women who was willing to be part of this like murder massacre for Manson. And the reporter asked her a fascinating question. You know what it was? Did you learn anything after being in jail pretty much her whole life? Because, just like you, Debbie Cook, she was very young when she was, grabbed by Manson and, programmed to think this, programmed to think that. I mean, what kind of programming did you have? You've got to take a look at that. because the answer, the fascinating answer that she was able to give the reporter was simple. I learned choice at the most horrific cost. So just like that, before you try to like, Search is coming for me, he's being so mean, he's being so hard, you know what? Save your little cries for you and the rest of your co-conspirators. Because it's going to be up to y'all to learn choice at the most horrific cost. And since we're on this year 2023 and none of y'all had knocked on the doors of the police to say, we effed up big time. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I've gone to a therapist and she sent me to speak to you guys. Let me discuss what I was involved in and stop making it about David who beat someone, an adult. And then I got really crazy. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to get out of here because he's not letting me run my hotel unhinged the way I want. So full circle back to you. So really reflect, because I think we put so many nuggets for you to self-reflect on tonight that it'd be good to see if anyone else starts calling your out as well, because there's so much more than meets the eye, and we're going to get to all of it. See ya.